episode of Stay Hot. I'm Blaiden Kirk, joined as always by my two favorite co-hosts of all time, Matthew Spawnhour and Theo Ash. And today, we asked you guys on Twitter, what are the biggest questions that need to be answered this NFL season? We have a list of 5 of them that we thought were really, really good. But before we get into that, and then we're also going to talk about our top 5 vegetables. We did our top 5 fruits. We talked about Matt's top 5 candies. We'll give our top 5 vegetables. But before we get in to those, Matt, Theo, how are you guys doing on this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Wednesday morning?
Incredibly sleepy, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. I was tossing and turning up all night, and I barely got up for this record.
I'm proud of you.
Outside of that, it's been a pretty regular week for me. We're right on the cusp of college football being back and the NFL being back, and it's like, you think, oh, once we're a week out, once we're 2 weeks out from football, then things are going to start like pouring, like everything's going to start like, oh, there's so much to talk about. Really, no. Really, there's nothing, like until the games actually start, it just feels like there's not quite as much as you would expect. So I'm ready to get into this. I'm ready to go.
There is the least amount of stuff to talk about right now.
It's
but
amazing.
I get why you were tossing and turning, though. The Panthers cut Felipe Franks.
Did they really, dude?
They also
I
cut
know.
Terrace Marshall.
Yeah. Frank's cut. Jordan Matthews didn't quite make it as tight end. I was disappointed.
I saw him have good chemistry with Bryce, though. What are they doing?
I don't know. It's a stupid team.
The number of Stay Hot guys that got cut this week is very upsetting. Corral,
Oh, yeah,
Ritter, Franks.
I worry that's telling about our evaluation process.
Ooh,
Stay Hot guys aren't making the roster? Damn.
We're getting better and better, though. Like, think about it.
That's true. Those were like 2021 Stay Hot guys.
Yeah. We'll get new Stay Hot guys. Mekhi Wingo didn't get cut. Maybe next year.
Get cut.
Hey, so
Treadwell made the 53.
that's actually surprising.
Or at least I didn't
me.
see that. I didn't see that he got cut. Maybe he did.
I'm not seeing him on ESPN's.
No, he definitely did get cut.
Oh
Yeah.
no! Don't tell me it's not true.
Yeah,
Whatever. We'll be a mid-season pickup. We're not worried.
But
So true. How are you, Theo?
I'm doing well. I got a Nintendo Switch for my birthday, so I've been running Mario Kart time trials obsessively since then.
I feel you on that.
I get so locked in on those. I'll just do it again and again, and then I'll beat the time, which I said I was going to do. And I was like, well, I can go a little bit faster. So I've just been going through
you'll be like
Sweet Canyon. There is, and so I've just been running Sweet Canyon like over and over again. So that's how I've been spending my time, and then watching some of the rookie running backs is my new project. Watching did a little Bucky Irving breakdown, Matt, for you.
I saw he's good. He's a good player. He's going to be good.
I'm trusting that the explosive plays will be there. His long this preseason was 9, which was a little bit concerning. But like,
I don't think it was. There was no point where it was like he just wasn't quick enough. He looked incredibly.
Yes.
In the short burst game, there might be some like long speed issues with him for sure, but he's so shifty, man. And what I like to see is the contact balance, and you know, kind of slipping off some guys really stayed here, which I was worried about considering he's so light.
Yeah, I think some of the. I guess my thing will be like, can he run through more arm tackles? Like he can contort himself and he can put a hand down and like brace himself and stay on his feet, and he's got the falling forward gene where it's like for 5 yards, just stumbling forward, and it's a positive play even though like nothing crazy happened. But I will be looking to see him rip off some more explosive gains in the regular season. But I really liked his work behind the line of scrimmage. And then I was going into my Trey Benson evaluation thinking that he was going to be really disappointing, but his game like against the Colts specifically was pretty great. So
Trey Benson's a dog, man.
I'm trying to trade for him in the 32-man league. We'll see if it goes through. I offered Bucky. It's a huge trade. I offered Aaron Jones, Bucky Irving, Derek Carr, and Khalil Shakir for CeeDee Lamb and Trey Benson. Do you think they'll take it?
God.
I wouldn't trade CD for that.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't either, but it was worth a shot.
Yeah.
He had him on the trade block. Worst they can say is no. So that's what I got going on.
If you missed out Tuesday night, we got the Ohio Bowl. Matthew Sponhour versus Blaiden Kirk. Miami of Ohio versus University of Cincinnati in college football. And Matt got the W. I can't lie.
Damn. He played quarters versus you, Blaiden?
He did play quarters.
And the only plays where Blaiden scored, and I'm like, okay, maybe I'll try some cover too. It's like, no, you just got to sit in quarters because Blaiden, you run like 2 plays.
Don't run cover 2. Don't run cover 3.
Blaiden, I won.
That's true. That's true.
I think my strategy was perfectly fine.
I scored a lot of points, though.
I'll give you credit.
Before we get into the questions today, I know that we talked about college football a little bit and how it's about to start. It kind of already did start. There was week 0. FSU faced Georgia Tech in Ireland. I know this happened years ago now. Did you have any big takeaway on that, Matt, that you wanted to talk about? I know FSU is kind of a hot button issue on this podcast.
So bad.
I don't know if I have like a crazy takeaway that you probably already haven't heard about Florida State. Like their blocking sucked, their offensive line underperformed. They didn't tackle well. Like they're a very talented team clearly, but they didn't play up to it. And Georgia Tech has enough guys and enough weapons to take advantage of that. They do. I mean, I'm a really big fan of Jamal Haynes. I thought he had a couple of really, really nice plays. That's a guy who's just playing with another level of ability to like stop and start, if you know what I mean. But I'm frustrated by yet we were right to leave out Florida State talk from this crap. I think eventually that's going to happen to somebody else's team. And when it does, I'm searching up everybody in that fan base. I'm going to their Twitter and I'm typing in FSU. See what they said about this now.
Real. Because
it seems like it just comes down to at a point, whatever happens, people get tired of hearing about, talking about it, and then they switch their opinion. So now everybody is kind of against FSU. It also has not worked out well for them in terms of like everything outside of them getting bounced from the playoffs, dude. It's like, okay, you get bounced, you get matched up with Georgia to try to prove that you did deserve to get in, even though that's not really how it should work. That's how it did work. And then you're an old team, so like everybody opts out of the game, so you're screwed. And then you go and lose the first game of the next season as well. It's like, man, we can't get a win. So I feel bad for FSU fans. And I still maintain that they got hosed last year.
They did. They absolutely did. I still cannot believe that happened.
Yeah, but it is also a long time ago, and I'm also excited for the new college football season.
Are there any teams that you are wishing that fate upon this year, Matt?
What? To have FSU to have their quarterback get hurt? Not necessarily. I'd say no.
No, not necessarily that, but like get hosed out of the playoffs and then get a really like vicious matchup and then all their players sit out and then they lose the next game.
I mean, I don't know, probably Michigan and Clemson, rivals of my team.
What? No.
Do you think there's going to be a college football team that massively disappoints or a sleeper playoff team?
I honestly have no idea.
Maybe next episode. Maybe next episode. We'll
have a college ball episode for you guys.
I've had people, every time I've gone live, I've had people asking me about like every single college team, and it's like, I'm not CF Budge, man. I don't know college quite like that. I don't know every team's roster and expectations. I've glanced at like some of the schedules just to see who, like Penn State, for instance, who has two ranked teams lined up and can afford 2 losses. which I think is bogus. But they play some tough games outside of that. West Virginia is not going to be a gimme.
But
Hey, I want to go to OSU Michigan. That's a game that I'm really trying to go to because it's in Columbus.
mm-hmm.
So, but we'll see. But let's get into some of these questions. I know we want to start off with probably the big elephant in the room. Chiefs are coming off of another Super Bowl victory. So the big question is, who is going to be the team, whether in the AFC or in the NFC, to knock off the Chiefs this season?
I think it's the Ravens. I think they're going to do it too. I think I think three-peating is going to be really, really difficult. It's never been done before, obviously. Things like age, injuries. I just don't know if it's going to be completely sunshine and roses for the Chiefs the whole way. And I think the Ravens have the squad that can knock them off. They're capable of it. We'll see game one, week one, I guess, how capable they really are. But, that
regular season Ravens, though, man, they're goated.
I know. So the difference will be the playoffs. But I just know that the Ravens are capable of playing a lot better than they did in that final game where they only scored 10 and lost 17-10. I just think this defense is going to be even better than where the Chiefs are at. I think I have no questions about the secondary, how sick it is. I think Nate Wiggins is going to come in and ball out right away. One of my favorite defensive players in the draft, looked phenomenal this preseason. One of the most, I think, athletic corners to maybe, play the sport in a I don't know exactly where his athleticism ranks amongst all corners all time, but he's about as good as I've ever scouted. Maybe the best that I've ever scouted in terms of speed, elasticity, physicality. I mean, he is special alongside Marlon Humphrey, Kyle Hamilton, Marcus Williams, Roquan Smith. I just think this is going to be a total no-fly zone this year, with Matabike providing pass rush and then Lamar on the opposite side of the ball. I mean, it's a formula that can work. Great defense, great quarterback. We know it. It's kind of what the Bills have been like. It's what the Chiefs have been like. And now it's what the Ravens are. And I think and the Patriots, right, in the AFC before. Steelers, too, Big Ben and their defense. Like, this is the formula that you need. And I think more than any other team, like, the Ravens have that elite defense, elite quarterback combo with Mark Andrews, Zay Flowers, Isaiah Likely. Like, I like some of their weapons. I just think, and Lamar's rushing threat as well is like a weapon in and of itself. Derrick Henry being added, I think, is going to alleviate some of the concerns on the line. Now, the line could sink them. Like, the Chiefs' offensive line has the all-pros on the interior. I like Sua Mata'ia, their left tackle pick in the draft. Like, in the trenches is where I worry about this take falling apart, but everywhere else, I think the Ravens have enough firepower.
In the trenches is where you worry, especially, I know you were talking about the offensive line, but even the defensive line, like losing Mike McDonald, who was able to kind of mitigate a lot of the flaws of that defensive line. We'll see how the Ravens kind of deal with that loss. I will say they also lost Patrick Queen, but Trenton Simpson has looked pretty solid in the preseason, and you're thinking with a year to learn from Roquan, he'll probably, this is almost like bridge quarterback, but your bridge quarterback is like the second best linebacker in football, and you're going to get to play next to him. It's
he can just blitz, like that's. I think that's
he can fill the Patrick Queen role. Like,
that's the nice thing about playing next to Roquan, and why a linebacker can look good or better next to him is like you can just send him downhill, and Roquan can cover the extra ground, and that's what made Queen so great. Is he just get downhill, slam into an offensive lineman, free up the defensive tackle trying to get blocked, and then it's a sack for the Ravens. So I think they already. I like what Zach Orr has done this preseason. He's been aggressive. He's been creative. I don't know if it'll be the exact same in terms of how he applies everything week to week. Like, we can only know that when the actual games start. But I am encouraged by what I've seen from the young Ravens players on defense. And then the line, I don't know. I wish they didn't let Kevin Zeitler go to the Lions. I really, really do. But I still think that there's enough there that they can, not fumble at the one this time around and be the ones to knock off the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think that's a fair take. Maybe people are underestimating the odds of the Ravens still being back and still being a great contender. The narrative is that last year was their year. But I think people are maybe overestimating that a little bit. There's some truth that you need things to break your way, but there's no reason why it can't again and why they can't get far again. And they're going to have Lamar. They're going to be a high seed. I don't think anybody's questioning that. Maybe the Bengals challenge them more than they did last year. And maybe they win the division straight up. But, I don't hate that at all. The team that I had picked out, if we're going to pick one of the AFC, because I figured, let's just go AFC.
Sure.
Not saying that I don't have the Chiefs making it to the Super Bowl, but if I had to pick a team, I kind of like the Texans to give them a good run for their money. I mean, you talk about a good defense and quarterback, I feel like that should be there in Houston. But the weakness that I really like that they attack is that the Chiefs are kind of light on corner, and the Texans are kind of heavy on receiver. I feel like that is a potential mismatch that they could exploit for sure. They've got multiple guys who can just straight up win against, lower tier dudes. And I know that Spags is going to, be able to cook up what he's going to cook up. But at a point, I think if you got to go on an island versus Diggs and Collins, it could get scary. It could be tough.
Yeah.
And defensively, we're talking about Stingley. We think he's going to take a big step, and we think Will Anderson Jr. is going to take a big step. I think that defense could start to round out. Now, it's not as elite as the Ravens. Certainly not. It's not as well built out as the Ravens yet because they're just a younger team in general. It's a little bit more stars and scrubs right now. But I think it's good enough to make some plays, certainly. I think their pass rush, it certainly will be very good. Another weakness for the Chiefs is probably their tackle play. I think the Texans would take very, very big advantage of that. So there's multiple spots here where it's the Texans are strong where the Chiefs are weak. And in a given matchup, if you told me the Chiefs struggle with that and Stroud cooks up a heater, they could win. I think they'd have a real shot. I'd be nervous as a Chiefs fan going up against the Texans. Of course, I don't know if I'd favor the Texans.
Yeah.
I'd prefer other matchups.
Yeah, I think that's a good take. I think the Texans are built a lot like the Bengals, is something I've said before, and that's a team that the Chiefs have struggled with. So maybe they're a good take for this as well. But I can just imagine that 200-something yard Jamar Chase game, right? Remember that one at the end of his rookie season where he was just mossing everybody? I look at the talent that the Chiefs have got out on the boundary now, and guys like Nico Collins. Maybe they could replicate that kind of thing. Just send them on goes, test that sideline, and see if your receiver is better than the Chiefs DB. I do think that style of play is going to be, if you can do it, you should against Kansas City.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the Ravens pick. That's kind of where my head has been at. And initially, when we've been doing these kind of offseason predictions, I've been leaning the Ravens to be the 1 seed in the AFC, and even potentially come out of the AFC and represent in the Super Bowl. But I do think Kansas City should still probably be the favorite. That's why this is the question, is who's going to be the team to knock them off. And we talk about the ways that the Ravens got better, right? Adding, like you said, Nate Wiggins, adding Derrick Henry, but discounting the fact that they lost Mike McDonald. That could be a huge loss for them. We look at the way the Eagles took such a big step back after they lost their defensive coordinator. I don't think it'll be that drastic, but because I do think this roster is probably going to be better, especially on the back end. But I don't think that can be dismissed. That could be a huge loss for the Ravens as well. So I would lean them, but it's still feeling like the Chiefs could be back. I'm not gonna lie.
The nice thing about the Ravens, I guess, as opposed to the Eagles, is at least Monken stuck around, and I think that the offense could actually look a little bit more smooth from beginning to end this year because it is his second year, there is some continuity. I thought at the beginning of the season last year, things didn't quite gel as smoothly as they were when they were, hanging 50 on the Dolphins and 30 on the 49ers. Like, that kind of came with time.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping this year they can kind of come out of the gates even faster. We'll see week 1. This is the nice thing about this prediction. I don't have to wait very long to see if there's some truth to it or not. But I think the Texans, I think I might pick the Ravens week 1.
I'm definitely picking the Ravens week 1. Regular season Ravens are, they're so good, man.
They have. I mean, Lamar has also beaten Mahomes before. It's not like it's never happened. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
What is up, hotties? You know that when it comes to NFL football, Stay Hot has you covered. But who do you turn to when you need to make smart financial decisions? If your answer is our sponsor, NerdWallet, then you're absolutely right. And if it's not, then allow me to change your mind, because not only have they spent thousands of hours researching and reviewing over 1,300 financial products, but they have the tools you need to make smarter financial decisions. Looking for a credit card? Go beyond the basic comparisons. Filter for features that matter to you and read in-depth reviews. Ready to choose a high-yield savings account? Get access to exclusive deals and compare rates, bonuses, and more. House hunting? View today's top mortgage rates for your new home sweet home. So while Stay Hot is your go-to resource for NFL football, make the Nerds your go-to resource for smart financial decisions. Head to nerdwallet.com/learn more. NerdWallet, finance smarter. Disclaimer: NerdWallet Compare Inc. NMLS 1617539. Our next question is a question about the Eagles. Will they rebound this year, or was last year going to be more indicative of how they're going to be going forward? Theo, how are we feeling about Philly? I know we've been critical of Sirianni. Is he the problem?
I'm falling a little bit more on the Eagles' low side as we approach the off season. Holy cow! Let me just start that whole sentence over. I'm getting lower and lower on the Eagles as the season approaches. Maybe that's a mistake, but I just can't deny what my heart feels. And I think they will lose the division to the Cowboys and be a wild card team. So that's not a total rebound. The thing I worry about most with them is it's the loss of Kelsey, really. It's the loss of Kelsey. Last season, they got away from running the ball. We all know this. We complained about it. Why are they passing it so much when they have such a good run-blocking offensive line? But the other thing that they really struggled with was against the blitz. In weeks like 10 and on, they were solidly a below-average team with a negative EPA when getting heated up. I think there's no reason that should happen. With the weapons that they have and the quarterback that they have, the offensive line that they have, that concerns me still. Like, did they get those issues solved when the dude calling out all the protections, Jason Kelsey, leaves? Now, maybe he was doing a bad job, but I don't quite think it's the Hall of Fame
center's One of the greatest centers of all time doing a bad job calling out protection.
Like, if they were the way I fall on it is if they were struggling to get those things communicated with Kelsey, they're going to struggle even more when it's, Cam Jurgens and Mekhi Becton and on the interior now. I don't know. I think that I look at this defense and I see some names that I really like. Jalen Carter. But then it gets a little bit thin, It's named one guy. I know. It's the defense.
Man.
I know that Fangio is going to be better than Patricia. Anyone would be.
Oh yes.
But Jalen Carter is good. Bryce Huff is good as well. I don't want to pretend it's just him. Josh Sweat. Like, there's some pass rush bodies there, but the linebacker situation is really rough. And the corners as well. Like, I think the corner situation can really deteriorate with, like, Slay is still a projected starter at his advanced age. I thought he started to show some signs of decline. Their cornerback room is like the Golden State Warriors a little bit. Like, half the team is too old and half the team is too young. It's just with that room, though.
I'm not totally out on the corners there, because it's like, okay, with, Gardner Johnson and Slay and Bradbury and DeJean and Mitchell, it's like, all right, I feel like they're going to be able to figure something out from that group.
Right.
And it's not going to be a disaster.
And Ringo.
Like, I look at and Ringo. I look at the off-ball linebackers and I'm like, oof. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's going to be a weakness for sure. It's Devin White and Zach Bond. It's like, I don't know.
Nakobe Dean
I think their offense is going to be good,
starter.
My Eagles take is that they're probably going to fall somewhere in the uninteresting middle of their two projections, where they won't be so good where you're like, all right, they're back as the favorites in the NFC, because I think their defense will be lacking in some ways. Although maybe if their offense can be great and just an average defense can keep them, feisty in the NFC. But I don't think they're going to be such a disaster that it's like, oh my God, it's just like last year.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how the 49ers were in a sense. Like, the 49ers have more stars on defense, but again, we talked about this before. Their general defensive performance from a year's perspective was not that special. And if the Eagles could get to that level and just and be like super dominant offensively, that would be fine for them.
Okay, let me hit you with one.
Okay.
49ers lose Ayuk for
Ooh.
first round draft pick next year. Who's the favorite in the NFC?
go Pack, go.
those-
I think Packers or Lions, right? Maybe the
Yeah,
Cowboys.
I'm thinking Lions.
I'm thinking Lions, man. I might have the Lions. I really am going to go Lions out of the NFC.
I just sent FanDuel. We did our season predictions, and I just sent them Chiefs Lions Super Bowl.
I don't
I
hate
could
it.
see it.
I don't hate it. I think 49ers are still right there, but it's close.
Yeah.
But as far as the Eagles go, I kind of think that they're going to just be sort of mid. And it's going to come down to them sort of drafting back up and building the defensive personnel back up.
Maybe I could see them being a really special running game, and that's where they make it up, because that's not what they were last year. I still think Saquon Barkley is that guy. I don't think there's going to be as much running room behind this version of the offensive line as past years, although I think it's still good, especially on that left side, and Lane Johnson is still good. So it's not a bad offensive line. I think my question with the Eagles will be just how good is this running game? Like, can Saquon mitigate the loss of Kelsey? Because I think it's possible, but I don't know if it's quite something I'm going to be betting on day one. So I'm going to say Cowboys win this division, but I do think the Eagles will have a chance to redeem themselves in the playoffs in the form of the wild card round. So I'm with you, Matt. I think mid for the Eagles is probably how it's going to
Mid
look
for the Eagles. I mean, they're kind of doing the same thing the Ravens are, right? They're taking a little bit off of Jalen Hurts' plate as far as the running stuff goes, especially because Hurts got injured last year running all of those QB powers, and I mean, that's all they do, it feels like. That's like their entire rushing attack. He had 15 touchdowns. Like, you got to take a little bit off of him. So yeah, the run game could be elite. AJ Brown, Devonta Smith are still great. It's just the defense. That's what you're most worried about. But mid for the Eagles, I like that. What is up, hotties? It's almost time to trade in those summer jerseys for fall sweaters. But just because the season is about to change doesn't mean your wellness routine has to fall off. Whether you're catching those last few summer rays or gearing up for the NFL season, Factor's got you covered with meals that keep you fueled and ready. With Factor, you get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. No prep, no mess, and no stress. Whether you're aiming to cut calories, boost protein, or stick to keto, Factor's got 35 different meals and over 60 add-ons to choose from every week. And the best part, they're fresh, never frozen, and ready in just 2 minutes. That's quicker than a lot of your fantasy draft picks. Crush those wellness goals with Factor's restaurant-quality meals featuring premium ingredients like filet mignon, shrimp, and blackened salmon. And it's not just dinner. Factor's got you covered from breakfast to dessert, making sure you stay fueled and satisfied all day long. So what are you waiting for? Head to factormeals.com/StayHot50 and use the code STAYHOT50 to get 50% 50% off your first box, plus 20% off your next month. That's code STAYHOT50 at factormeals.com/StayHot50 to fuel up, stay healthy, and kickstart the NFL season right. Next question is, who will be the first coach to be fired? This one was asked a lot.
Dude, kind of a tough one. You look around and it's like coaches who are pretty safe and coaches who just got there. I honestly, Sirianni is one of the more hot seat coaches, but I just don't think he's going to get fired. I don't, like, in the middle of, like, week 6. I don't think that's going to happen. My answer, and I think it's still probably too early, but one guy I guess I'd think about, how safe is Dennis Allen's job? Vibes there are very bad. He seems pretty frustrated. I don't think the Saints are going to be that good this year. I think their offense is going to be pretty bleak. I don't know if he actually gets canned, because he's is this year 2 or year 3 for him?
I think this is year 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think he could. I think Allen's got to be the pick here. I mean, he might be the only dude who is legitimately like on a team that I think will finish below 500. Year 3, no playoffs. It could be rough. Now the Saints have the easiest schedule in the entire NFL. Naturally,
that's the thing, is they have an easy schedule, easy division. Their defense is probably still going to be good. They could make the playoffs.
But I believe the start of their schedule, they do go Dallas, Philadelphia, Atlanta, Kansas City. They play some tough teams early. It could be a bad start if they don't beat Carolina week 1. That's going to be key for them, man.
We're definitely getting a Saints fire their head coach and the interim goes on to make the playoffs type of season. That's definitely what's going to happen.
Possibly, but I don't think it's a guarantee. I don't think the Saints offense is going to be very good.
No, it's going to happen, man.
I like the Dennis Allen pick. I just think that the Saints are going to be a bit too good to have it happen. But he's definitely the obvious pick in terms of, like, no one in the fan base likes him. It's a little bit unclear exactly. It's not unclear exactly what he brings to the table. He brings defense to the table. I do like the way he manages that side of the ball, but in this day and age, he doesn't bring what people want to see to the table. You know what I mean? Like, people want the offensive guru. People want the dude who's going to elevate the new era quarterback. Like, people are so sick of this iteration of the Saints where they're just running back the same average team over and over and over again that, like, if they're anywhere below average, like, a complete cleaning of house is probably necessary. But I just think that they're going to stay just above average. The more I think about it, the more I like this defense. It was a good unit last year. Didn't really lose anybody. Added Chase Young in his 66 pressures total last year. I think that's an acquisition that's kind of flying under the radar. 7.5 sacks. He'll improve the pass rush. And this was a really good secondary last year that added Kool-Aid McKinstry, who we thought was a great prospect. He's making some special plays in preseason. So I just think if you have a defense that can be top tier, and I believe on paper, it's probably not like Browns level. I'm not sure where all the Hall of Famers are, right? But it's good enough that with this schedule, I think it can be really high ranking. And if you are a really high ranking defense, all I need from the offensive side of the ball is like average play. And I do think that is what Derek Carr, Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave can provide. So I think that the Saints are going to be a bit too good. I know I picked them to win the division in our NFC South preview, but I do think that the first fired coach could come from the NFC South still. I'm thinking maybe, like, could Bowles, in the same way that Allen is, like...
I wonder if they're like a total disaster. They'd have to start like 1-6 or 1-5 or 0-6 or something like that. I really do believe
he's in the same situation kind of as Allen. I guess he made the playoffs last year, though.
But he made the playoffs and won a playoff game and was kind of close to winning another. I'd be really surprised if he was so bad that they panicked in the middle of the season. This is what I'm saying. This is a bizarre year where it's like there's not a lot of guys who are even in range. I mean, just thinking about dudes who have either not made the playoffs for multiple years in a row and who are not like new coaches. There's just not that many dudes. I mean, Saleh comes to mind.
Yeah.
As a dude who's there, but it's like, do I think the Jets are going to be that bad where he gets fired mid-season? And it almost feels like even if it's bad, their floor is high enough so where they probably ride it out for the full season. They're not going to fire Saleh. A team that good or a team with that high expectations, a mid-season firing, I don't know.
Who would take it too? Hackett?
Right. And it's like, what are you going to move to?
Here's what I'll say. I think you've talked me down from Bulls. You're right. He did almost beat the Lions last year. They had a chance. They won a playoff game. For him to be the first coach gone, I don't know if it'll happen. I think it's possible. I do kind of land on Sirianni. I know we just talked about the Eagles.
Sirianni sticks out, man.
What if they're like 5? Like I feel like he has the most tumultuous tenure right now. I feel like he was very, very close to getting fired after that playoff game from what I could ascertain, right? Like that was the type of performance. Everybody was speculating. There wasn't kind of word on it for a while. Like I do think it's something that they had to consider with the way the disaster playoff game, the way things ended. What if they start like 5-4? You know, like they don't even have to have that bad of a schedule to be underwhelming based on where the Eagles' expectations are, which within the building has to be, we can still win the NFC. The Super Bowl window is still open. Like I feel like if the Saints were 5-4, nothing would happen to Dennis Allen. If the Eagles were 5-4, like something could happen to like Sirianni or 4-5, let's say, maybe a losing record, right? Like they fall one game below 500 in the middle of the season. It's looking like they're headed towards that wild card round. Like Sirianni could be grumpy enough, you know, like he could be at the press conference
against the Cowboys.
that's for Sirianni's job. I don't know, but you know, Sirianni in the press conferences, like I could just see the vibes deteriorating there in a way where it's easier than all the other situations, right? Where it could become kind of obvious. So maybe I'll say him, even though I think the Eagles can make the wild card.
I don't hate
kind
that
of a Saintsy situation, in my opinion, where it's like, I think if things go south, Sirianni could be out first. That I completely agree with. I just don't quite believe they're going to go south. And really, I believe that with the Saints, too, where it's like, I agree. Their defense is going to be great. I don't think their offense is going to be anywhere close to average, to be completely honest with you.
Have we ever had a season where no coach gets fired?
In the middle of the season? I don't know. That's a question worth asking. Genuinely, I don't see why it couldn't there's only a handful of guys that I think are, I don't know, like if the Jaguars sucked, would Doug Peterson be in trouble? I'm not predicting these things. I'm just wondering.
Well, if we're gonna go in the direction of if a team sucked, would their coach be gone? You know where I'm going with this, Matt?
Cleveland.
Brian Dable.
Cleveland.
And here's the thing,
you
Giants
just won
fans,
Coach of the Year.
Giants fans would be pissed about it too. But based on the decisions that the Giants have been making through Hard Knocks, it is not like out of the realm of possibility. They've invested all their resources into Daniel Jones, and they're like, well, we've got to give Daniel Jones a chance, and we can't pay Saquon because we have to give Daniel Jones. We have to pay Daniel Jones. But
that's like Mara and Shane's fault, though. I think like. And Dable's an innocent bystander here.
He is an innocent bystander, but like I just feel like he could be the next guy to like get the axe.
I mean, I could see it just because teams are impatient and they're in New York and like they could be totally at like what if they're like 0-9? Like that wouldn't shock me for the Giants. So
I think he's a good coach, but it would be and Giants fans would be so upset. But like I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. What about Tomlin?
They're not firing Tomlin.
You don't think so?
No.
Even if the Steelers were like bad this year,
they just gave him a huge extension.
I think that's the same level as Stefanski.
You're right. You're right.
Like I'm imagining.
No, you're
like,
actually right.
What if the Browns started like 3-6? What would happen? Not saying that, but like, would they be like
nothing? They would not fire Stefanski.
Right. I think Stefanski is probably just too good there. Even if it.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
The Steelers have just been in such a cycle of mediocrity recently that's like, but I do still think Tomlin's a great coach.
They extended him through 2027. I don't think they're going to turn around and fire him if Russell Wilson is ass, like I think Tomlin has definitely made some moves that I can't defend, especially regarding the offensive line situation. Like Dan Moore is still the starter at left tackle. Broderick Jones has been making the switch left to right. It hasn't developed. Like, where does Fatanus fit in here? Like, he's already getting switched around. That's legitimately frustrating. But I feel like the main complaint that Steelers fans always have about Tomlin is like, he keeps us too good. Like, we can't get a good quarterback. Like, we have 9 wins instead of 2.
You can't enter a proper
It's like, okay, like, I feel like that's not the worst problem to have if your head coach like is getting you to the playoffs when you don't want to be there. Like, that's the number one thing. It's like, we need a full, fresh restart. It's like, if the quarterback situation gets bad enough, which it always could, like, you'll get your opportunity someday.
Right.
I don't know.
Matt, what team did you think I was going to say?
I said Cleveland.
Oh.
I thought you were.
It was an educated guess.
It was an educated guess.
No, I am the biggest Stefanski defender.
Well, that's why I thought you were bringing it up, is because maybe there's always those rumblings every time the Browns are like slightly underperforming.
The Browns will be 4-4, and people will say that Stefanski needs to be gone. Like,
and there's a level of like NBA type. We can't get rid of, like, we can't make a change because we're paying who we're paying, so it's got to be Stefanski because that's
right.
We're not limited with the Watson contract. That's how I looked at it. But they're not going to do that because Stefanski's a good coach, and that's projecting them to be like way worse than I think they'll be.
How many coaches have won multiple Coach of the Years? How many active coaches?
Probably.
I ain't Google. We're discounting Dave Canales in this getting fired after they start 0-1. Tepper.
I told you about the dream that I had.
What dream?
I had a dream that I got shipped off to war, and when I came back, I like got to check my phone and like the scores for the first time, but it was late in the season. It was the last week of the season. Like, I hadn't seen anything about the NFL year, and the Panthers were 1-15, and Dave Canales had quit. He didn't get fired. He quit.
A prophecy?
A prophecy potentially. I don't know. I mean, that's where I'm starting to lean though. Is like, maybe could a Urban Meyer situation happen with somebody?
Harbaugh gets arrested.
Naturally.
Harbaugh arrested, hauled off.
It's coming.
Antonio Pierce? Is Antonio Pierce on the hot seat?
He's new.
I could kind of see, like, no offense, like, maybe the Raiders shit just like doesn't work out at all. Like, it's just horrifically bad.
Max Crosby fires him.
Right, like,
we're gonna get a Max Crosby podium moment. He's like, dog. Like, I don't know what you. I mean,
Mark Davis lets Crosby become the owner and GM. Brady comes down from the ownership box. Him and Max Crosby are the offensive and defensive coordinator of the team. No
Max
head
Crosby
coach.
calls the play and then puts on his helmet.
He's got the energy. Just
This
runs
is like
to
the
the
longest
sideline.
yard, man, where the coach is on the field.
Yeah, I could definitely see some weird shit happening with the Raiders this year and the Chargers, but I don't know if it'll mean they get fired before like a boring ass Sirianni pick or something.
Right. Do we want to move on?
Yeah, we can move on. Another question that seems to be pretty popular is just around the general expectations of the rookie quarterbacks, asking the question, what are we going to see from them this year? And I guess in consequence, were the expectations that were set for them reasonable? And I guess we could just go down the list. If we start with Caleb Williams, we've talked about him to almost no end this offseason with the draft and everything. We've said he's got really high expectations and that it is deserved because he is the first overall pick and he's this generational talent. We're expecting to see great things from him this year.
Right. We've talked about this very specifically with Caleb Williams. He has among the highest expectations that any rookie quarterback has ever had, rightfully so, and he will fulfill them.
I think all I'll say, because we'll move on quickly because we talked about this exact thing last episode. The minimum is the best Bears season in history.
Yes.
Passing season,
you completely fair.
If it's, I don't know where that slots in amongst everybody in the league. But if he hits the 4,000 yard mark for the first time in their history, like that, that curse needs to be off their back. Like they're the oldest franchise. They haven't hit that mark. He needs to hit that mark and then have like a somewhat decent touchdown to interception ratio. But like that 4,000 yard mark, getting there for the first time, to me, that's the expectation. And I don't have playoff expectations for the Bears because I think they'll be in the hunt. I have that as my expectation. But to beat the Lions and Packers year one, I'm not putting that on Caleb's back, right? I'm not putting they have to win the Super Bowl, but they do have to have the most prolific passing season in Chicago Bears history.
Well, the most prolific passing season so far, Eric Kramer, 1995, 3,838 yards, 29 touchdowns, 10 picks.
38 yards. We're not worried about that.
We're getting 4,030 and 8.
If they let him throw enough, I think he will.
Probably. That's the thing. Like, Fields was never going to hit that. Because, Fields had like 370 attempts in 2023. Trubisky had only 434 in 2018. He threw 3,200.
The OC did it again.
I feel like you've got to give Caleb Williams enough shots at the barrel here.
I mean, he's good at throwing, so like, they'll throw it more probably. So
that's fair. Next quarterback, let's talk about Drake May. I feel like we haven't.
My next quarterback.
What?
We're not beating the Jaden Daniels hating allegations. You said you were going to go down the list.
Oh, I was just going down the list of like
guys you like.
I was just going down like the big board. I wasn't going down the draft board. I was going down the big board.
Oh, okay.
Difference. We can talk about Jaden Daniels. Let's talk about Jaden Daniels. Expectation for Jaden Daniels is to be an electric runner year one, almost Fields-esque, if not better, and then to hit an insane number of go balls, probably. Right? I mean, those are the things that he's best at, but he also showed some just pure accuracy stuff in the preseason as well. How do you guys expect Jaden Daniels to perform this year?
Well, I think we need to see the rushing offense be really good for the Commanders. Like, usually when you get these running quarterbacks, you see the efficiency spike up into the top 10. Hurts, Allen, the Ravens with Lamar. These are all the more, or the most efficient running teams in the league outside of like Miami, whose scheme does it, or the 49ers. I think that Jaden Daniels has to have that type of impact right away. I mean, he rushed for 1,000 yards last year. He won the Heisman. He's a second overall pick in the draft, largely because of what he can do on the ground. Like, we'll see what the passing offense looks like, but I think at minimum we need to see the same type of effect that Jalen Hurts has for the Eagles' rushing game for the Commanders to start out with. But I don't know about the passing offense. I'll let you guys take that because your expectations are a little bit more in line with they probably should be.
I think with Daniels, weak receiver room, if we're being completely honest.
Yep.
Questionable play calling from Kingsbury, I think some people would say or have doubts about. So it really doesn't have to be the greatest thing in the world. However, this guy is a little bit older. So I do want to see stuff like the quick game be pretty good. And I agree, Blaiden, like we need to be hitting the explosives down the sideline or at least putting up good throws down there because you still have Brown, you still have McLaurin. Both those guys can go make plays down there. And then hopefully as the season goes on, he can start to build out the rest of the throws that we want to see. I don't have like a number that they need to hit. I think putting a passing yard number to this is like, whatever. But it's got to be spreading the defense deep, at least with the go balls, being able to keep the offense on rhythm with the quick game to some extent, fine with making mistakes, fine if there's a decent number of interceptions, but as long as the run game is improved by having him there, then it'll still feel like, okay, this is a guy we can build around. That's the expectation.
The other thing I really want to see, and because he's an older guy, the pocket presence. This is something we didn't see a whole lot of at LSU because he had all day. That offensive line was amazing. And in the few instances where we did see him have to like step up in the pocket and slide around and make plays within the pocket, it wasn't uncommon to see his eyes drop and to just immediately tuck. I want to see like this is going to be a worse offensive line situation. He's going to be under significantly more pressure than he was in college. I need to see how he handles that. That's kind of the biggest thing that I'm concerned about from a passing perspective. And then from, I guess, both a passing and rushing perspective, the kind of hits that he takes. Learn to slide, dog. You are of all these rushing quarterbacks in the league, you are the smallest. Like you are the thinnest, frailest one. Like super explosive runner by every account, but you got to be able to avoid those big hits. That's part of what makes Lamar so good. Jalen Hurts is different. He's a giant guy with massive legs, squats 600 pounds. That's his game. But like part of what makes Lamar so good as a runner is the fact that he does not take hits.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, seriously. I think he's got to look just as, my expectation, he looks about, maybe not exactly, but about just as good of a runner at the NFL level as he did in college. I don't think that's unfair to say. Like, Lamar looks just as good of a runner at the NFL level as he did in college. Josh Allen looks like a better runner at the NFL level than he did in college. Jalen Hurts, same thing. Like, that's something that can directly translate, and I think that's something that he can control. I want to see that at the bare minimum translate, and I'm willing to give plenty of excuses for him in the passing offense this year because of the supporting cast, which I don't think is great. So,
yeah, I think that's fair. Now we can talk about Drake May. Drake May,
see the field.
See the field. That's your expectation for him. Yeah, I mean, really, just like we saw the pocket movement, all that is just in the preseason. That's already looking like it's going to translate from college. He does have really good feel. But yeah, I don't think you can have very high expectations just based on the current standing of this offense. He is really young. The offense sucks, man. Those receivers are going to be brutal to deal with. But yeah, I think if he can just show me that, all the pocket stuff that he was doing in preseason, that he did in college, and that is still there, and that he can hit these throws, whether or not they're all completed, we'll deal with it. We can get receivers later. Yeah, he's going to be a hard one. We're going to have to do this no, Drake May is actually good. Like, we're going to get 8 games into the season, and it's going to be a Drake May defending podcast, I fear. Because the offense is just going to struggle, I feel like. But I do think Drake May is going to be good.
I agree. I think I want to see flashes out of him that are more than the average flashes, because I feel like a lot of times people are like, this guy's showing flashes, and it's like an underthrown deep ball or something. It's like, you know what I mean? I want to see him hit high-level throws that only a guy with his arm can make, and I want to see him handle a difficult pocket. If he does both of those things, some of the accuracy, consistency, or maybe the offense not being that good, I can live with. Both of those things I can stand. And I just want to see him maybe get a little bit better as the year goes on in general. But I don't have the highest expectations for what his year one performance is going to be like. And I think most people going into this know it's going to be a real development here for him.
Yeah. But he does look better than Brissett. And it is notable that Gerard Mayo even said that he outplayed Brissett. Just start him, man. Just start him.
Yeah, if he does start, the end product doesn't have to look great. I think the receiving core has looked a little questionable this preseason. Like Baker wasn't always a consistent target for him, getting crowded to the sideline. Like you were hoping that he might be a breakout year one or something like that. Like, I don't know if that's quite going to be the case anymore. And that kind of leaves you with, like Jalen Polk didn't have a crazy preseason. Like no one really looks like they're going to step up and be the guy to surprise everybody, which leaves them with a very mid unit. Offensive line looked very mid. So yeah, I think it could be kind of a rough year. You just, I thought you put it well, Matt, just above average flashes, like a couple throws a game that I can share and say, like, look, no one else is really doing this except it's outside of the elite guys, because we've seen it before. Like we held strong that Lamar was an elite quarterback when his situation was kind of mid and he was putting up numbers that weren't disaster level, but kind of in the middle of the pack. But what we could go to was the fact that he was still hitting some spectacular things on film and really making a good effort. And I think May is capable of being that elite guy. So my expectation, just ball out, like do your best. And whatever happens. Because this Patriots offensive line and receiving group, kind of the same deal with Daniels. Like I'm willing to excuse bad passing performance year one, but there needs to be some high end stuff that looks the same as college. With Daniels, it's his thing was breaking off the long runs. With May, it's more manipulation, stepping up in the pocket and throwing. Like those plays still need to be there in a big way.
Yep, I completely agree. We could move on to Penix, but he's probably not going to start. So I think the expectation is that he's not going to play. If he does get in there, I think the idea would be that he would be kind of decent right away, and that he would be relatively pro ready. Especially in an offense that has a good offensive line, hopefully going to be able to run the ball, has some big-time weapons. I don't want to speculate too much on it, but if Penix went out there and it was like a real, where I'm showing flashes but not much more, or like the accuracy is super bad, I'd be pretty concerned if I'm being completely honest.
He's like 38, right?
Right. Well, him being that old, it's like, you do expect some level, especially if you're going to a situation that's workable, which Atlanta certainly is offensively. You just can't be, a total bust. There's a level of bad that Penix could hypothetically be if you were to get the game one start, where I'd be like, I don't know. I don't know if there's an excuse here for this. I don't think he'd hit that. But there certainly would be some expectation for him to get through the reads and run the offense comfortably and stay in the pocket well. The accuracy maybe can be up and down for him at times, but the other stuff is really, really good. I would expect it to stay good.
For fantasy and agenda purposes, my expectation for Penix, if he sees time, is he just feeds Kyle Pitts. I think that's such an ideal fit. I'd be very intrigued to see if he would come in the game, because you look at all of his guys at Washington. These are these contested catch artists who can align in the slot and run the slot fade down the sideline. Huge catch radius. He just throws it up,
Drake
and
London, and
he's got Drake London, Kyle Pitts. I do, especially Pitts. I feel like is just the perfect Penix guy. So I would look for that connection to kind of stand out, or London. It can be anybody.
London can do a lot of. London,
yeah, you're right. London's a good fit as well, and things would have to run smoothly. He's the 9th overall pick in the draft, 24 years old. But in the meantime, I just expect him to hold the clipboard, make some smart contributions in the QB meeting room, not say anything inflammatory at a press conference. Stay out of trouble off the field.
I was literally about to say.
Don't crash any vehicles. These are the expectations for the backup quarterback iced on the bench.
Keep your head down. Keep your nose clean. And then when your time is ready,
nothing good happens after 10 p.m. Same thing with May. While you're on the bench,
in the film room.
Same thing with May.
Turn up. He's back.
I'm expecting him to turn
Don't
up.
worry about.
He's Alex Moran. He's Alex Moran this year.
Why are you
Michael
not at the
Penix needs
club?
to be in the club. That's what I'm saying.
My expectation is that Penix has the year of his life off the field.
Penix spends his entire rookie contract. He's living that James Harden. He's living that James
why not,
Harden
man?
life in Atlanta.
That Manziel, well, you have no expectations.
It's looking up for him, dude. Back up. He doesn't have to worry. Kirk is gonna go do what his thing. Cool. They got to start him because they're paying him $40 million. You're getting big money. You're in a big city.
True.
That's true. Backup quarterback continues to reign as the greatest job on the planet.
My expectation is he is in at least one music video. Well, he's the backup in Atlanta.
I like that.
Music video. A music video for like an up and coming.
Or someone is wearing his jersey or something. Like, he needs to make some sort of cultural impact.
He's at a jersey signing. There's
More
one
than
guy in line.
If he's not impacting the Falcons on the field, he has to be impacting the city of Atlanta off the field in some way.
That's a fact.
So
He's gonna be a vigilante. He's gonna turn into Batman.
true. My expectation is that he stops crimes and solves them.
He stops crime. We also have to talk about. I guess we can't talk about McCarthy because he's injured. So
Well, we just same thing.
same expectations.
You know?
Same thing as Penix, man. Stop crime.
Solve mysteries.
I think that he goes. My expectation for him is that he stays off the Aaron Rodgers route. No weird podcasts. No problematic Instagram posts for the
He
whole
obviously
year
wants to.
until he's the starter. Once you're established as the starter, you can post whatever you want. But while you're the backup, he has to keep those weird takes to a minimum. And he's done a good job. I think he can do it.
Does he have weird takes that you know of?
Well, I don't think that he had. Well, he's the barefoot meditator, right? Which isn't that weird. Like, I'm down to actually for that if you want to, if that's what works for you. But he did call Rodgers the GOAT human, which makes me think he could have, and that combined with the meditation thing does make me think that he has the podcast gene in him.
Not the GOAT quarterback. The GOAT human is crazy.
The greatest human of all time, Aaron Rodgers. So he hasn't gone on it. Like, he's honestly, I'm rocking with his approach so far. The like positive outlook on everything that happens. I'm not saying like he can go on podcasts and spread that, but no weirdness. No weirdness. That's the expectation from McCarthy.
Oh, man. And then there's Bo Nix.
Bo Nix, you know, as long as he keeps a football in his backpack.
Yep.
He's the starter, man.
The expectation for Nix is kind of rising.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, definitely.
I think that more and more, you know, the preseason hype has been building. He is an older guy. He is on a situation that's workable. I just want to see him. I want to see him not take a bunch of sacks. That's what I would like to see, because I thought that was one of his strengths at Oregon. And I'd like to see the quick game stuff be good, and for him to keep the offense on pace while still maybe hitting enough deep shots to keep it honest. I mean, I think it's going to be sort of a ground and pound team that you know, tries to play, you know, time control, sort of that style of ball. I'd like to see him be a cool operator. I would. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect all the time, because even if he's older, he's still a rookie. But you want to see some games like that. And if he flashes some of that creation ability where he gets out of the pocket and can make something happen, I think you'd be happy about that too, because the guy was not a first overall, but a first round.
Yeah.
So and we saw it in preseason, and people got excited about that. So you want to see that mix of things where you're like, okay, he's showing the strengths that we drafted him for. But the number one is the pocket presence. That is the number one thing, because there was some plays in the preseason where it was like not the greatest, but his pressure to sack ratio in college at Oregon was fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my minimum expectation for him is I think that average depth of target is going to be low. I think the time to throw is going to be low. So just execute that, you know, like in that first preseason game, we saw the footwork kind of start to leave him. We saw some missed reads. It looked better against the Packers game, right? So that doesn't have to be his entire rookie season just because we saw it in his first action ever. Just eliminate that kind of stuff by the end. Like, really be dialed in in the short and intermediate range, or in the short and long range. Maybe the intermediate range and the high end throws that, like, I think about when I think of, Caleb Williams, right? Aren't there. But I described watching Bo Nix as like watching the last drive of a Brady playoff game where, like, he just checks it down and it goes into the end zone and everybody gets pissed because he didn't make any high-end throws. That's my expectation for Bo Nix. Like, can you just keep things on schedule under Sean Payton? The running game should be pretty strong. It doesn't have to be the most high-flying, explosive attack. If it's not that, I'll understand. I think that can come when the receiving weapons are better as well. Like, Bo Nix isn't dealing with, like, an all-star receiving core or anything like that. So,
no.
Yeah, just don't have any major footwork issues. Don't be missing reads. Don't be turning down open looks all over the place. Like, keep things on schedule. It's okay if you're not spectacular. If the ADOT's going to
be low, then the efficiency has to be good. We need, like, almost Tua-esque offense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. With a little bit more rushing ability, too. I think my expectation for him there, like,
yeah.
What did you say, Blaiden, that he was, like, the fourth or fifth highest odds to lead all rookies in rushing?
It's so crazy to me, but yeah.
I'd like to see some of that show out as well. Like, oh, man, he's not only is he keeping things on script, but maybe the creation ability isn't coming in like the crazy, like, no look passes or anything like that. But maybe it's coming in the sense that, like, he's good at throwing on the move. He can scramble around. Like, you want to see a healthy amount of that has been missing from the Broncos offense recently.
You've had Wendy's nugs dipped in sauce, but have you had them covered in sauce? Wendy's new saucy nugs take the crispy and spicy nugs you love and turn them up to 11. Choose between flavors like buffalo, honey barbecue, garlic parm, or if you're really a heat seeker, try spicy ghost pepper, only on Wendy's signature spicy nugs. I dare ya. That's 7 delicious ways to try the nugs you already love. Pick a flavor, grab some extra napkins, and prepare to nug like you've never nugged before. For a whole new way to nug, it's gotta be Wendy's at participating U.S. Wendy's locations.
Do we want to move on to our final question?
Our final question. When will the Panthers win their first game? This is the question of the year.
Who do they play? They play the Saints week one.
The game after Canales quits.
Come on, man. Let's see. We got Saints, Chargers, Raiders. We gotta win one of our first 3 games. If we go 0-3, it is over. I mean, it's over like now, 0. I mean, depending on what we're talking about, but
yeah,
you got to give me something here, right?
That's about as good of a start as you could get, honestly.
We're going 3 and this is setting up for a beautiful classic David Tepper Panthers 3-0 start. Let's trade for somebody. Immediate train wreck.
3-0 start.
3-0 start. They end 3-14.
Yes. Why not, dude? This is the type of shit that does. How many times have they been like, "Oh my God, we're 4-2. We could do anything," and then they finish like 5-12.
When have the Panthers been 4-2?
Several times.
Really?
2019 they started, I think, like 2-0. This happened very frequently. Whenever they traded for Stephon Gilmore in the middle of the season, they had started off like kind of nice. It's happened a few times. When they had Darnold, I think they were 3-2 one time. They get out and then they immediately collapse.
The Chargers losing to the Panthers week 2 is speaking to me. I'll say they beat Herbert, and I upload some fun videos about how.
I think J.C. Horn 2-3 interceptions that game. It'll be nasty, man.
I'm feeling like J.C. Horn picks 6. Bryce Young throws 3 touchdowns. No, throws 2 rushes for 1.
They haul away Harbaugh in the third quarter. That's a movie, man.
I think I think their offense is going to kind of have to win them games, which I think the Saints defense is going to be good enough, and maybe even the Raiders defense is going to be good enough to just kind of overwhelm the offensive line like Bryce kind of start. But in that Chargers game, like I could see Bryce playing pretty well. Like their defense is not, to me, to the caliber of what the Saints and even the Raiders have. So I'll go with the Chargers week 2, and Bryce plays like a franchise quarterback in that game.
Yes.
And they win a shootout.
Let's go.
We're back.
All right.
We're back.
I'm going week 1.
There we go.
You guys figure it out. Hell yeah.
They're starting 3-0. This is a guarantee.
Blaiden, what about, do you think they'll win week 1 or are you going to wait a little bit?
Week 2, I'm feeling very, very moved on. I don't know if they win week 1. It's kind of... Maybe they do.
At the Saints, yeah. We're starting off.
Oh, yeah. The Saints, yeah. You
They're
got
better on the road.
The Saints swept you last year, correct?
We're due.
Oh.
That's true.
Think about how good the Browns dynasty is going to be, man, when they're...
All that do-ness is going to come to fruition. Dorian Thompson-Robinson is going to finally fulfill the prophecy. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
If the Panthers are due after getting swept by the Saints, like there are some teams out there that are crazy.
The Dolphins are due to win like 80 playoff
yards.
games in a row.
But
hey. So I think that does it for all of our questions. I think it's time we get into our top 5. Was that last week or the week before we did our top 5 fruits? And, people gave us a little bit of criticism for that, but mostly you guys. Let's see if you can bounce back with an elite top 5 vegetable list. Matt, I want to hear yours.
Our
first.
fruits lists were better than yours, though, Blaiden.
No, they weren't. No, they weren't.
What did you have? Pineapple at 1, mango at 1? I forget.
I did not have pineapple at 1. I went strawberry, pineapple. It was strawberry, pineapple. What was 3?
It doesn't.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. What's your vegetable list?
You want to hear mine first?
I do want to hear yours.
All right. I'll start off by saying some honorable mentions. Garlic, onions, and peppers. They don't make the list, but I think they're worthy to get the mention. Garlic and onion, I had someone say on my Twitch stream, are the lemon and lime of vegetables. They're great complements to pretty much any dish, but you just really, you're never going to go into your kitchen and be like, onion. That's not happening. Same thing goes for garlic, but they are elite complements to a lot of different foods. With that being said, number 1, potatoes. Number 2, tomatoes. Number 3, cucumbers. Number 4, corn. Number 5, Brussels sprouts. I see Matt shaking his head already.
Potato is against the spirit
a very starchy,
How?
a very
How
starchy
is
list.
It is a vegetable. No, what is up with
Also, tomato doesn't count.
You put tomato in your top 5 fruit and vegetable.
Yes, I did.
You put it in your top 5 fruit and your top 5 vegetable.
Look, potato. I'll give you this because I have both of these written down. Potato is the obvious one if it counts. It does not. That is not what we.
I think it does
about.
count.
That is like a starch.
But it's a vegetable. It's a starch. It's a vegetable. Is it the healthiest vegetable you could have? No, but it is a vegetable. It is the number 1 vegetable by far.
But you make that case, and then what's your number 2?
Tomato.
A literal fruit. Now it's not really a fruit. We all know. If we're going by the dictionary here. Fine. You can have potato up there. I have potato off my list because I have some sort of sense of honor. But
a sense of honor.
If you want to do whatever,
man. All right.
do whatever.
Yeah. So potatoes, tomatoes, cucumbers, corn, Brussels sprouts.
I'm not a big Brussels sprouts fan, but I can respect it. Corn, obvious answer.
Great. I think a great Brussels sprout. This is kind of how I saw it. Potatoes are just elite. They can do everything. Tomatoes are kind of in the same tier for me. You can eat them raw, or they can be made into something really good as well. Cucumber, I think is just kind of a great snack.
Is it really a vegetable? I honestly thought it was
What-
fruit.
Cucumber? Yes,
Yes.
it's a vegetable.
What? No,
Oh,
see,
yeah, some
I'm,
vegetable tails.
it's like, are green beans
Too
vegetables?
watery.
You put watermelon on your fruit list.
But that's good. Cucumbers suck.
Okay, man. All right. Cucumbers are a great snack. Corn, a really good corn.
Is
a really
corn a
good on the
vegetable?
cob.
Yeah,
Like,
corn
that's
is
kind
vegetable.
What are we talking about?
That counts.
Corn is like a grain, bro.
Oh. I can't. Is,
We're just trying to name 5 vegetables at all here.
goes through my entire list. Is that a vegetable?
You can't tell me that cucumber doesn't give off fruit vibes.
No, it's green, bro.
Fruit can't be green.
I've never seen. Apples are not green like a cucumber is.
A green apple is a vegetable.
They got that.
That's
They
what
got
they're
that
saying.
vegetable. Every vegetable is the same color green. Like scallion, celery, cucumber, broccoli, lettuce,
Oh my
kale,
gosh.
like spinach. This is all zucchini. It's all the same fucking
Well, so let's hear
broccoli.
your list then, because it's got to be all green stuff, right?
No, carrots. I got on there.
That's orange, though.
Well, yeah, but you know the green I'm talking about. There's no green fruits. There are other vegetables that aren't green. I got carrots. I guess we'll put corn up there if we're ranking that a vegetable.
It is a vegetable.
I'm not putting potatoes up there. That's too starchy.
Oh, brother. Okay.
I'm putting jalapenos up there, bell peppers as well, and Brussels sprouts.
Fair.
I'm a big pepper believer. I will eat a bell pepper like it is an apple. Just have it in my
those
hand.
Green,
Just
those
eat
green
it.
peppers. They're
Any
pretty
color.
good.
Green pepper, red pepper, yellow pepper, just bell peppers in general. The little one, like,
Yeah.
love
And they
those.
cook
Slice them
well,
up.
too.
Yep, they cook well. Jalapenos as well. Put them in an omelet. Put them in anything. Like, just taco. Like, they enhance it.
Yeah.
Brussels sprouts. I love Brussels sprouts, man. At a restaurant, like, I know
Yes.
that by the time, like, if you get them at a restaurant, they're not much of vegetable at that point because there's, like, shit on them. But
I think
they're still the
saying
base.
that it's not a vegetable because of how you cook it is
You know what? I'm actually going to take them out because I'm not agreeing with my own logic here. Like, they're good when you do a bunch of things to them. I'm going to replace Brussels sprouts with peas, sugar snap peas. Just eat those. I think those are pretty crisp and delicious. So
I think you're allowed to put a little bit of stuff on them. I think it depends,
Yeah.
but you're allowed to put a
Yeah.
little bit of stuff on them. If it was
If-
nothing done to them and potatoes doesn't count, then I think, well, my one is still my one regardless.
But yeah, I got carrots, corn, jalapenos, bell peppers, and peas.
peas. So Matt, is your number one corn?
Of course. It genuinely is the best vegetable, not including potato, which, like we said, I'm also not counting for
Okay.
honorable. At number 2, though, I have onions. It is a role player, but it doesn't matter. Onions are so important, man. I love onions.
They are.
And I think, honestly, I'm just not eating as many vegetables straight up, nothing done to them, as I am fruits. So that's
Yeah.
why, like, a lemon and a lime can only make an honorable mention, but an onion can find its way all the way up to number 2. Number 3, I've got green beans. I think good green beans are
Yeah.
elite. I feel like too often you get like the sucky ones out of the can or whatever, and you're like, man, these aren't that good. But like good green beans that you are a little bit effort. I mean, they're up there with anything. I could go crazy on them. At number 4, I have asparagus. That and a little bit of lemon on top of it is about as good as you can possibly do vegetable wise. And then number 5, I have bell peppers as well. I agree, Theo. I think bell peppers are fantastic, and they're good both as some, like, I don't know if I quite eat them on their own, but you can get pretty close to eating them on
Yeah.
their own.
You can
and that's-
like dip them in hummus or something, and it's awesome.
Right. And then I
Uh-huh.
had carrots just off my list too, which are another great hummus.
Carrots are a tough omission for me. I think I might put carrots at number 1 just because, like you say, it's tough to eat a lot of vegetables on their own. You got to prepare a lot of them, salt, pepper. Like even with carrots, you can just have a bowl of them out and just crunch on them all day. That's what put them in the number 1 spot for me. I eat a crazy amount of
Cucumbers are. You can do that with cucumbers.
I-
You don't have to dip them in anything either. You just cut them up and Cucumber.
Cucumber is good as well. I prefer the humble carrot slightly to the cucumber, but I don't hate the cucumber.
Cucumbers are more
Cucumbers
refreshing.
suck.
That's insane.
I
That's such an
disagree.
insane take.
Here's the thing.
cucumbers suck?
I was planning on getting Jimmy John's after this very episode. I'm going to walk down, cry.
I will.
No, Jimmy
and-
John's rules.
And I'm going to walk down and I'm going to say, can I get a number 12 with no cucumber? Because cucumbers,
Oh, that's
their
terrible.
texture, they're too tough. They're too rough.
No, I get
They're
a
too hard. They don't
BLT
mix
and
in
then
well
I
with other
add
things.
cucumbers on it.
That sucks, man. Don't ooh that. That sucks.
Because I get 2 of my top 5 vegetables, tomatoes and cucumbers. Man,
I reject your tomato thing after you listed it as a fruit. I don't know how you're so casually like slipping this in.
Oh,
What's the worst vegetable?
the worst
I hate
vegetable.
broccoli.
I also hate broccoli.
I know people like broccoli. I hate broccoli. I can't stand it. I don't
Broccoli-
like the texture of it.
Broccoli sucks raw, but I like cooked broccoli.
I honestly can't remember the
point
last time
blank,
I've had
period.
cooked broccoli, if I'm being completely honest.
It's
But-
good.
Like, I'll get it, and then I'll get it in my, like, if I'm getting, like, chicken from like, an Asian place, and I'll get a couple of pieces of broccoli. Dude, I won't even lie. I take them out. I
take
can't
'em
stand
out, too.
broccoli. It's annoying because here's the problem. You'll get, like, one humongous thing of broccoli where it's like, well, I'm going to have an all broccoli bite here. I can't work this in at all, where at least they've got, like, diced up carrots. I'm like, that's a beautiful ad, or whatever else they put in there. I'm not even sure what it is.
Broccoli,
but it's
I
so
think
much.
broccoli does not have good flavor. I think it is a net negative.
I think
the
the
flavor
flavor's
category.
bad. I agree. It's yucky.
I just don't think it tastes good. Like that is the one thing where I've never been able to acquire a taste for it. Oh, actually, can I? Okay, so you guys are saying that potatoes is an unfair ad, is a dishonorable ad.
Yeah.
What about sweet potatoes?
I don't know, man. I don't know the history, but they're
Like,
bad. I don't like
horrible.
sweet potatoes.
What? No, that's
Well, then
crazy.
you really can't get on me for not liking broccoli. Sweet potatoes
You don't like
are yummy,
sweet
man.
potato? No, that's crazy.
It's like, why not just a normal potato?
They're for different things.
Like-
They're different things, man.
Okay, how do you eat a sweet potato?
You can make a sweet potato casserole. You can
Delicious.
just like it's just like you can
Okay.
cook it the same way, but it's like a different flavor. Like you're getting a different
If I pull up to
Say that
if
you
I pull
find
up
it
to the
yucky.
function and there's sweet potato fries there, oh my god, just
Now, sweet
take
potato
this shit away.
fries. There's no. I will admit this. Sweet potato fries. There has never once been a time in my life where I'm like, dude, I don't wish I had regular fries. Right now. That I agree with.
This-
strongly. They're
that-
not bad.
My fourth grade lunch opinions are clouding my
And it's
my
like, why
sweet
even do that
potato.
to the fourth graders? You know for a fact they just want the regular fries. And the sweet potato fries, those can't be any better for you. At that point, who cares? You're just messing with them.
I know. An underrated one that maybe I should put in my top 5, and then I'll mercifully end this episode at hour 20. Pumpkin.
I don't
When
like
you
pumpkin.
when you take into account pumpkin flavor, pumpkin not even to eat, but just as a thing that exists.
We're not ready to get top 5 off of jack-o'-lanterns.
We're rating it top 5 off of pumpkin flavored things, which are
No.
elite, which you can't say for every vegetable. Shut up, dude. Okay. Pumpkin. You like sweet potato flavored things, but not pumpkin.
Not sweet potato flavored things. I just like sweet potato. That's the thing. Is like I don't like pumpkins. I don't like pumpkin seeds. I don't like pumpkin pie. I don't like pumpkin
Whoa,
spice.
you don't like pumpkin seeds? That's a crazy
No.
take, dude.
Pumpkin pie is. I mean, I'd rather have pumpkin pie than anything sweet potato. But just like look at the pumpkin is iconic. Like just the pumpkin. What about like a pumpkin drink? Like it gets to be
that's-
fall.
That's true.
You don't have it.
You're making
Yeah, I
a
don't-
good
I don't
case.
want- I don't
mean,
want
if we have
pumpkin
onion in
flavored
here as a
water.
role player, pumpkin seeds, delicious.
Yeah.
Jack-o'-lantern, goated.
Great.
Pumpkin, iconic. Would I really take a pumpkin flavored things? Almost always good and way more relevant. I like asparagus, but if they said you have to remove one from the world for the rest of time, I think people would be
pumpkin would be
furious if they
safe.
picked pumpkin, and rightfully so.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. Like, you don't eat a pumpkin, but I think pumpkin has the year round. Like, there's whole industries. Well, I guess there's industries on all of these, but like, pumpkin is versatile for sure.
You don't go to the asparagus patch.
No.
The asparagus patch.
Well, I did work on an asparagus farm. I was on the asparagus machine, and we had to lie down. It was like this ancient thing. It was like in cars they have Bessie, the like slow ass like paving thing. It kind of looked like a little version of that, and it was slow, and it had two wings coming out the side. And I would lay on this board that was shooting out the side of this like ancient loud ass machine, and I would just pull asparagus out of the ground, like lying an inch off the ground on this board. So I have been to the asparagus patch, unfortunately.
I'm interested. Some other ones that did not get brought up: zucchini. Zucchini, I feel like, is a good addition.
Zucchini's fine. It's overrated, but it's fine.
I think it's pretty good. Thank you all so much for tuning in to another episode of Stay Hot. Those were our top 5 vegetables. Make sure you let us know in the comments if you hated them or loved them or felt indifferent. And make sure you get ready for the NFL season. It's going to be exciting stuff. And until next time, we will catch you on the flippity flop.